Hello and welcome to our video screening event. We're just about to get started here. We'd like to first of all, thank the organizers of the Humanitarian Hub, UN OCHA, for having us here today. We'd also like to express our excitement to be here to share a little bit about the work that we do at Solar Cookers International. For anyone joining us online, we're excited to bring a little bit of information about our work, in particular in Kenya, we'll be screening a video shortly. But before we get to the video screening, we will be giving a little bit of background context about the situation, the cooking situation, and the work that Solar Cookers International does to address access to clean cooking in places like the Kakuma refugee camp in northern Kenya and other places around the world. So to begin, my name is Keith Wingard, and I am the Strategic Partnerships Manager with Solar Cookers International. We are a non-profit organization based in Sacramento, California, in the United States. As I mentioned, we will be showing a video in about 10 or 15 minutes from now that shares the experiences of some of the program participants in northern Kenya. And we'll also be hearing from my colleague. I'm joined today by SCI's Program and Science Director, Alan Bigelow. And I'm also joined, we're excited to have Rosemary Atieno from Kenya as well, who has experience promoting, his experience as a solar cook herself, and also promoting solar cooking equipment as an option for people to use renewable solar energy to cook meals. Here, as I mentioned, here's a little bit of an outline of what we'll be running through today. We'll be talking a little bit about our organization to start, and then we'll actually show the video. And then I'll give a little bit of additional context related to our work at Kakuma. And then we do look forward to interacting a bit, so if there are any questions, we have some time reserved at the end as well. And we'd be happy to continue the conversation about solar cooking more generally and our work in particular as well. So I'll start by passing the microphone over, so to speak, to my colleague, Alan Bigelow.
Thank you very much, Keith, for that introduction. And we're grateful to be here today to share our story. And before I get into the story, just to cover some basics, how does a solar cooker work? What is a solar cooker? Those kinds of questions. We're going to be talking about solar thermal cooking today. And the solar thermal cooker works in a very simple way. First of all, you have to collect sunlight. And then you absorb this sunlight, or the sunlight is absorbed on dark surfaces, preferably black matte surfaces, so cookware that has a black matte outside, exterior wall, or the inside of an oven. A solar oven can absorb the sunlight and transform the energy of light to heat energy. And that's how these devices start to heat up. The food is placed inside cookware that is black on the outside, ideally, and then we want to basically retain this heat. So there are greenhouse approaches that are used to let light in, but not let the heat escape. And those are some common aspects in solar cookers that you see across the board. They're easy, they're efficient, they're sustainable and safe. So the acronym CARES spells out how a solar cooker works. There are three basic types of cookers: the reflective panel, the box oven, and the parabolic reflector. And these do work in similar ways of basic aspect of the energy of light being transformed to heat by being absorbed on black surfaces. But in how that happens can be managed in different ways. So you do have the reflective panel cooker that is very much an entry-level cooker. It's very simple to use. It is low cost, but it's also extremely effective. So don't mistake that. It can cook extremely well. I use them. And the next one, the box oven, is a little more durable, and also it has really good heat retention qualities that are a part of the device itself. So they can ride through any lulls in the weather, meaning if there's a cloud that might pass over, they can still keep cooking. And the parabolic cooker is an extremely powerful cooker. With that cooker, you can get to temperatures where you can fry food, boil, and basically do any kind of cooking that you would do over a flame at the same time, with the same cooking time. The other cookers may take a little bit more time depending on the conditions of the day and how much you're trying to cook. So there are many types, many variations within these basic types. And also we like to talk about complementary technologies, because a solar cooker works best in the daytime when it's sunny. But if it's at night or cloudy day, it's important to have other cooking solutions as well. We do like to encourage people to use heat retention baskets to keep food cooking if they need to take it out of the cooker, if the sun has disappeared on them. And also we like to talk about water pasteurization. So these technologies can absolutely work well for water treatment for eradicating microbes. Additionally, we have new technologies coming out. The Fresnel lens, the Fresnel mirror are very exciting and powerful cookers, and is the evacuated tube model. So those are new on the scene, we might say, relatively new, but also extremely effective and exciting to work with. As well, if you want to take this to the building level, there is another type of cooker, which is the solar steam system, and these are institutional cookers. These can be mounted on rooftops of buildings where sunlight is concentrated at reception areas, receivers, where water is essentially heated to steam. Then the steam can pass through plumbing that goes down into indoor kitchens that are clean for steam cooking at volume. And schools, boarding schools can use these. That's this picture is from Nepal. And also for very large institutions, some temple complexes in India can cook for tens of thousands per day. So that's very exciting to have this technology now. So why solar cooking? Tremendous number of benefits. They're summarized on this slide, but I would say foremost there is the no cost for fuel aspect. So once someone has a solar cooker, they can use it with sunlight that's free. It's delivered for free to your doorstep on sunny days, and there's no cost. So keep that in mind when you're thinking about the affordability of such products. Also, the aspect that there is no smoke emitted. So no emissions, no black carbon. So that's good for the environment, but without smoke entering the face and the lungs of cooks, particularly women and girls, this is an improvement for health. So a health benefit there. And of course the environment, also not deforesting, you reduce cutting down of trees. Lastly, the economic benefit, it aligns with the affordability aspect, that once somebody has a solar cooker and it's paid for, perhaps even through savings, they can go on and save money by, the solar cooks will save money continuously because they're purchasing less firewood and less charcoal. It's accessible. We like to call it the people solution. Very easy to install. However, during installation, one must keep in mind some best practices. So SCI has been an organization. It's a nonprofit organization based in Sacramento, California, in existence since 1987. And our mission is essentially for the improvement of human health, economic well-being, women's empowerment, and the environment by promoting climate-friendly solar cooking for vulnerable populations worldwide. How do we work at Solar Cookers International? We're an organization that used to be a manufacturer, but we are no longer a manufacturer. So I do want to point that out. We like to work with local collaborators within their own countries and have the manufacturing happening at the local level. We have 3 buckets of activity at Solar Cookers International in our strategic plan that covers advocacy, research, and capacity building. So that the advocacy, that's why we're here. We interact with delegations, with country representatives, so at the UN level. We need to bring more awareness about the problems associated with cooking, but also the solutions available through solar cooking, solar thermal cooking. On the research side, we have launched a testing program, which we call the Performance Evaluation Process, or PEP for short. And this program uses international standards, standards published by the International Organization for Standardizations that exist now. During the past 6 years, we have these finally, and we use those standards to measure the standard cooking power of a solar cooker. So we're really glad to have that available as a specification for the product for how well it would perform. I would say that the advocacy and research, they complement capacity building, and that's really what we'd like to focus on today. And so we want to help do what we can at Solar Cookers International to learn from our collaborators in other countries about what the needs are. And then through conversation and building programs, we can optimize the solutions for which solar cooker to use, what are the needs of a specific community, what are the foods that are enjoyed by that community, and also we learn as we go. If there's any fine-tuning that needs to be done, for instance, by listening to feedback from participants, that can then be reintroduced into the progress of the program. So we use inclusive design in our efforts. So with that, I think that does give a summary of what we do at Solar Cookers International and how we work. We really do appreciate the collaborations, and one that we're going to focus on today is at Kakuma refugee camp. This is a refugee camp in northern Kenya, established in 1992 with over 200,000 people living there, and it's a small city, you might say, and it's in northern Kenya, where countries of origin people are coming from: South Sudan, Somalia, Democratic Republic of Congo, Ethiopia, and more. There are others who are there too. The conditions at Kakuma refugee camp are very stressful for people who are living there in terms of access to fuel for cooking, but also access to food. This is challenging. So we'll be talking about these details more later. Maybe there's one more slide to show the context, the cooking in Kenya. This picture here is from the inside of a home. This is not at Kakuma refugee camp, but you will see this commonly across many parts of our planet, where people are cooking indoors and often having children nearby. It is very smoky inside these spaces, and women and children are exposed to smoke at high levels throughout much of the day. This is leading to poor health issues. Meanwhile, there is sun falling outside the home, and it is extremely sunny at that point. So that's an opportunity, and that opportunity is also there to work against the cooking fuel challenge. And in this slide, you can see these are pictures from a pop-up fuels market at Kakuma refugee camp. And in this case, this demonstrates or showcases what it looks like for a refugee to access fuel for cooking. The cooking fuel access has evolved over time. There have been moments where firewood has been provided for free, but maybe not at the level that is needed. And sometimes that provision is reduced depending on how well things are going at the camp, at the administration level. But that in mind, this is a very difficult stress on the refugee families, where sometimes they're even needing to buy fuel with their own cash, their own money, And if they don't have money, sometimes they are actually bartering some of their food rations to access fuel to cook the rest of the food that they have available. So we found that families on the order of about 7 people, they will spend about the equivalent of $23 per month for their cooking fuel. So Kakuma refugee camp is in the north of Kenya. As you see on this map, it's a very sunny place. This is a global horizontal irradiation map, and it's a heat map, meaning the more red the areas are, there's more sun available throughout the year. And Kakuma refugee camp has an extraordinary amount of sunlight, which is available for cooking. And this cycle, we work on an annual cycle with our collaborator in Kenya. We're making some more cookers, but this slide is showing what happened last year. Last year we had 60 standard size U-log box ovens that were manufactured in Kenya by Kenyans with material that is available in Kenya today. So this is really kept from inside the country. It originates in there for cooking foods that are common in the area, common among the refugee population, and that it has worked out very well. Some of our best practices that we have listed here: involve the women as trainers and as enumerators to go collect data. But really, there's probably no better ingredient than to have women involved in the initiative. The trust level between a women's solar cooking champion, and those who are new to solar cooking, to hear what kind of impacts this device can have on their lives. That trust level is extremely high, and it works. It works for transferring knowledge. To transfer knowledge. Also, we collect data, so follow-up, monitoring, and evaluation. So I think at this point, I will pass the microphone back to Keith. So Keith, who has just been last year at Kakuma Refugee Camp. So Keith, please take it away to share what you experienced, and thank you.
Thank you, Alan, for providing the overview and the background information about Solar Cookers International, about the work that we do, and about the cooking situation at Kakuma Refugee Camp. As Alan mentioned, I had the opportunity to travel to Kenya last year, and as part of that trip, made a point of traveling to Kakuma and visiting with some of the families that are the participants in the program. And we brought along a camera and some audio equipment so that we could kind of document the experiences of some of these households and women in particular, and learn a little bit more about the impact that this solar cooking program is having on their lives. And we were also very grateful to Tea Leaves for their help in editing the video, the raw video that we brought back, and we have a short video now that we're very excited to show. But just before we show it, I just want to highlight this is a situation that faces over 2 billion people around the world. The latest estimate, 2.1 billion. And with all of those people cooking over open fires, that means there is an enormous amount of carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gas emissions from that point of cooking, which means the overall amount of carbon dioxide is estimated to be about 2% of global emissions. So this is a climate issue, this is a health issue with the respiratory issues and eye disease issues that are associated with cooking over open flames, and the gender impacts, of course, of cooking being predominantly a responsibility for women in many countries around the world. And it's an environmental issue. The demand on the forest is significant in places where 90, 95, even 99% of the population relies on biomass for cooking fuel. So with that in mind, we're very excited to bring this very short 2-minute video, and then after the video is over, I'll elaborate a little bit more on some of the conversations that we had while we were there.
wanga ben giken ane ken ben wanga giken no pe ko me wang di do ko bira yala lo tini bar ben no gi cham ma ben do biro giken yala ti ara chel gi kin no ben ti gi pe ko mi kore.
This solar help us very much. One sack for charcoal, I can use it almost two months.
So again, thank you to Tea Leaves for their collaboration in bringing that video to life, and it's really an honor to bring the stories of some of these families, these women, to COP, and also it's on our YouTube page, on our website as well. We're really excited to be able to share a little bit of that experience directly with those that are interested in solar cooking. I do want to share a little bit more about what it was like to be there. You set up a very basic tripod and a camera and a microphone and record as much as we could, and then get an idea of the kind of impact that these families are seeing. And also, it was striking to hear the enthusiasm that many of these women had about the solar cooking equipment and technology that they were using. The economic savings, the health impacts, and it was also striking to hear about the interest from neighbors, right? So this is something that is not particularly familiar to many of these households, and they were telling us about how their neighbors were asking when it would be possible for them to get one as well. And we're over, the demand is higher than we're able to provide at this point. So part of this is to get the message out about what solar cooking can offer. And the other thing I want to point out too is this trip actually led to a change in Solar Cookers International's policy about identifying program participants. We had previously been more careful, but some of the women that were part of the program were adamant that they wanted to have their actual real names being used in the video so that they could share their real life experience. And so this was really a moving demonstration of the kind of impact that solar cooking can have on the people that are looking for alternative solutions to cook their meals. One of the things we really focus on in our collaboration, in our work, is that we do have strong collaboration. We are a nonprofit organization based in the United States, and so for us to be successful in our work, we are dependent on having strong partnerships with collaborators in the countries where we're hoping to implement programs. So this means we're working directly with a partner called Eco Impact Hub CBO in Kenya, and we're also working with a local manufacturer. So this is from a previous cycle where we used an open source design plan that was available on our website called the ULOG model. We were able to do some slight modification to make sure that materials are available locally and that the work staff were able to use some basic carpentry skills to put together these box ovens. And this allows for a more sustainable model for solar cooking going forward, because we have the production capacity in the country where these devices will be used. We also prioritize data collection and analysis to demonstrate the impact that the programs are having. So this means at the beginning, when we have an idea of a particular community that we'll be working with, we have what we refer to as a quick needs assessment data tool. This allows us to go into the community and talk to some of the potential program participants, learn about the current situation that they are facing. Maybe I will switch microphones. Learn about the situation that they are facing. Learn about the cooking situation they're currently facing, and also better understand who might be an ideal candidate to include in the program. And then we also have an adoption and impact survey as well, which allows us to have a baseline and an end line to determine, again, the kind of impacts that we're looking to verify. So this looks at things like the reduction in household fuel expenses. This looks at the reduction in overall wood and charcoal that's being used as a cooking fuel in these places. And we're also looking to incorporate increasingly gender indicators as well to give us a sense of the time savings that solar cooking can allow to some of the women and families that are using solar box ovens. So here's an example of some of the traditional cooking situations, or even a slightly improved cook stove, but those are all dependent on biomass, wood and charcoal. So there's a lot of smoke that gets inhaled. And meanwhile, as we see in this picture, there's an abundance of sunlight. So this is one of the women that I was with. This is Rebecca, and she found the solar box oven so beneficial to her life that she was adamant about becoming a trainer. So this is a training of the trainer model. Rebecca is now a key liaison to the community, and also helps the next cohort, so to speak, of solar cooks understand how to best use a solar cooking equipment and to experience success right away. What we found is if there are solar cooking equipment that gets distributed, but there's not that training component, that means sometimes there is a gap in understanding how to get the most out of the solar cooking equipment, and then we see a situation where they're not being used. You're not getting the most out of this new cooking equipment. So having those women that are able to speak the same language and resonate with the other community members is really critical to achieving success in the solar cooking introduction and then adoption rates. One other small item to mention is it's important to have black pots to increase the efficiency that the light is absorbed and transformed to heat. So one task that is included in the training program is the silver pots that are provided by the refugee families themselves are painted matte black to improve that efficiency. And then there's a distribution period where we take down data about where the box ovens are going so we could track them and follow up at a later date. And this is really what we think in clean energy transition can look like. We hear a lot at the macro level about a just or clean energy transition, and that means using more wind, more solar energy to create the energy that we need to live our lives. But on a micro scale, at a household level, this is what a clean, just energy transition means. It means using more solar energy, freely available solar energy, to meet your energy needs, and that could be as simple as cooking your meals every day. And then some of the most recent results that we've had come in from our adoption and impact survey show that before receiving the box oven, families were spending about $20 to $25 per month on household cooking fuel. And then after having a box oven for about 6 months, we were seeing families were reporting savings of around $5.50 per month. So over the course of an entire year, this equates to over $60 per year. And the latest cycle, we've had some new data come in just in the last few weeks. This number has gone up to about $7 per month. So this is really exciting because it shows that once you have the box oven, you have an economic impact on your life where you can save money, save time, and save fuel. So there's a multitude of positive benefits. It's a triple win for the climate, for health, and for the environment as well. And these are some of the foods that are being cooked regularly. On any sunny day in Kakuma, you might find any number of the program participants cooking meals like rice, beans, peas, potatoes, stews, and foods that are particularly energy intensive, that require a long time to simmer, are great food items for the box oven, because you put it out in the sun, you let that sunlight reflect off of the reflective material and go inside of the box and create that temperature for slow cooking, and you can go off and do something else and come back an hour later, 2 hours later. The other nice thing is that there's no burning associated with box ovens because it doesn't reach a temperature that's so high where you might have a problem with burning your food. So you can come back and your food is ready to eat later in the evening. Or if you're not ready to eat yet, you put it in those complementary technologies that Alan mentioned earlier, like the heat retention basket. So I'll leave this slide up for now, but I wanted to now open it up into a little bit of a conversation. I wanted to bring Rosemary into the conversation because although Rosemary hasn't worked directly with Solar Cookers International at Kakuma refugee camp, she does have a lot of experience with solar cooking and promoting solar cooking to groups of women in her part of Kenya. So I wanted to start just by saying, Rosemary, can you please introduce, Rosemary first, I guess, is the founder of the organization, Community Mobilization for Positive Empowerment, CAMPI, a nonprofit or CBO organization based in Kenya. And so with the work that you do with CAMPI, can you tell us a little bit about your role and then maybe tell us a little bit about the reaction and the experience of what it's like to be introducing these kinds of solar cooking devices to the communities where you're working?
Thank you so much, Keith. As he has mentioned, I am Rosemary Atieno. I'm the founder of Community Mobilization for Positive Empowerment, a local NGO that works in Kenya, especially along the lake shores of Lake Victoria. And if we are all aware, if you look at the map of Kenya, the shores of Lake Victoria have very high levels of sunrise. Most of the part of the year is dry with a lot of sunshine. And coming from a background of being an agricultural person, I learned a lot about solar cooking when I was still in school. So when I came down to the ground and founded COMPE, this was one of the things I really wanted to promote. Why was I promoting this? Because growing up, I saw my mother looking for large quantities of firewood. So she would wake up in the morning and go to the river. She has to carry a bucket of water, carry scores of firewood on her back, come home to be able to ensure that we eat. And in the process, we would suffer from respiratory diseases because we were hailing smoke from very dangerous firewoods. You know, some of these firewoods are not very good for health. So this made me and gave me a drive to see how I could empower our women in the community. So when I got back home, I decided to start working on how to empower our women. And one of the thematic areas of COMPE is environmental conservation and women empowerment. So this for us was very ideal because as we look for firewood, it means we are cutting down trees. As we look for charcoal, it means somebody's cutting down trees and making a lot of bags of charcoal, and that is destroying the environment. And given that we had a lot of sunshine and very little rainfall, I decided to start promoting solar cooking. So I have had an experience of using solar cooking for more than over 10 years. And not working directly with solar cookers, of course, but working through other members of the society who are also promoting solar cooking. Like in Kenya, there is Mama Solar. She was my first trainer on solar cooking and fireless basket models. So we have been trying to train our women. I call myself a chief TOT because I'm the main trainer of trainers for women. Then I train other women in the community to also train others. So how do you become a trainer? You are trained on how to do solar cooking, and you get a solar cooker, and you start practicing it at home. And out of the benefits, then you are now tasked to train maybe 2 or 3 other women who are near you to be able to use solar cooking as a device for cooking. Now, I would confidently say that solar cooking is a good model of cooking for our rural women. One, the solar cooker is not a very expensive kit that is very difficult for a local woman to afford. However, we can come up with models that can help them to easily afford the solar cookers. So most of them are using the box solar cooker, which may not be very durable, but can be able to serve them for some time. So after they are trained, then we train them on how to make our own modification of the solar cooker because all we need is a box, some aluminum foil, and we are able to design the solar cooker. 2, after you graduate from the box, then we are looking at ways in which we can start revolving loan funds in our community so that we are able to give them some small little money. Then you are able to buy a box cooker. Then after buying the box cooker, then you will be saving money on fuel. You will be saving money on health-related issues. Then you can use this money to repay back for your box solar cooker. So this is something we're still piloting, and we hope very soon we shall be having talks to see how best we can actualize this with other partners like Solar Cookers International, so that we allow our women to be able to purchase more box ovens. The beauty about the box oven is, one, it is clean, so you are not touching a lot of soot. Two, it is available, because getting a black pot is not so difficult. Our traditional mothers cook on pots and they use firewood. And over time, the pot becomes black. So even if you're not able to paint it, then already your mother has a black pot within the home. So all you need to do is look for a lid and ensure it's black, then you use it for cooking. Two, the food that is cooked in the solar cookers are food that are locally available. They are the foods that we use on a day-to-day basis. Then three, our women are very busy women. Women in Africa are very busy because they start work early in the morning and end in the night. So the only way you can help them is if they are able to get their food well done in good time and be able to do other things. So for me, solar cooking has improved the leadership of our women locally, because they are able to put the food in the solar. As it is cooking, they're able to do other household chores and be able to get some more time to attend meetings where there's the chief's baraza and then there's the local leadership talking about what they're supposed to do. Because ideally, you should not be talking about me without me. So women must be there to talk about themselves. So for me, it has improved our leadership involvement of the women. Two, it has improved the health outcomes for our women. And three, our women are now able to do other things alongside eating healthy. The only difference in the solar cooking is you have to just be a little bit patient, just a little patient. Because if I was cooking maize and beans on firewood, then it would take me 3 hours. But if I'm cooking it on solar, then it will take me like 6 hours. So all I need to do is to start early. So we teach them on timing and programming of themselves as they do this. The second advantage, I am able to go to the farm, do my work as my food is cooking. So when I come back home, I have cooked food that is ready. My children from school are getting warm food to eat, which is also healthy for them. Alongside this, we are promoting the fireless baskets. So once the food is ready, she's able to remove it and put it on the fireless basket that keeps food warm for over 8 hours. So she's able to have different sets of food and be able to get a healthy meal at the end of the day. And finally, I want to say that as the women are using the solar cookers, they are excited about it. Many of them want to come on board. And I was telling Keith yesterday, we had an exhibition. And yesterday, our women were actually cooking with the solar. And some people got surprised and saying, you mean we can cook food with the sun? So it means it's an idea that is locally led. And for me, something that is locally led is sustainable. For me, an idea that is locally led is an homegrown solution that if we invest in, is sustainable and will give us more outreaching impacts. So that has been my journey with solar cooking. And I want to say, personally, I use it, I practice it. So I only have to time my sun. When the clouds are a bit heavy, then I cook light food. But when I have a lot of sunlight, then I cook heavy food. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, great. Thank you so much, Rosemary, for sharing your experiences and your perspective on that. It's great to hear about the work you've been doing to promote solar cooking and about some of the excitement and enthusiasm that you've been seeing from the women that you've been working with, and that ties into the resiliency factor as well. So there's actually two sides of the coin here. There's the mitigation aspect where we're actually reducing the emissions from the point of use when you're cooking food from burning fuel for cooking, and there's the adaptation side, right? With the reduction in some of the deforestation and some of the degraded forest lands, people are having to go further and further away to get to places where they can actually access wood for cooking fuel. So people are needing to adapt to different ways to go about cooking meals, and also adapt to a way that doesn't have the same burden on women, which is the health respiratory issues, the burden of going to actually spend time collecting wood, and the environmental aspects as well. So all of these combine together to create communities that are more resilient and more able to withstand climate change, and also able to reduce emissions at a household level. So this is a kind of an overall summary of of how we approach this particular topic. And we have a little bit more time left. It seems there's a few people that have just arrived more recently, so we are happy to play the video again if anybody's interested, but we're also happy to answer any questions. We wanted to try to open it up and make this be a little bit interactive. So if anybody has any questions that they might want to ask, we're certainly happy to have any of us respond to any questions about solar cooking or the work that we do at Solar Cookers International. And if there aren't any questions, I'm happy to also ask my colleagues here as we keep the conversation going for a little bit further. But just wanted to open it up first and see if there are any questions from the audience at this point. Sure. Yeah, great.
Hi, I'm so impressed with all of this idea. I've never heard of it before. And sorry, I joined later. So the question is, would it work for countries like Azerbaijan, which has like 3 cold months, not so sunny? Is it fine still?
Yeah, the kind of solar that you need to cook is not very intensive sunlight. So if you can have 3 hours of sunlight, you're able to cook. So all you need to do is choose the kind of food that you want to cook. So if the sunlight is low, then you cook light cooking foods like rice, vegetables, pasta. But if there's intensive sunlight like in Africa, then you'd cook things like maize and beans mixed. Yeah, so long as you have at least 3 hours of sunlight, you are able to use a solar cooker. Yeah.
I'd like to add to that, if I can, really quickly. A fantastic question when you mentioned cold months. That question is also addressing the ambient temperature. I just wanted to add that I live in the New York City area, and it gets very cold in the wintertime, but on a sunny winter day, you can solar cook. I do it when it's blue sky. Actually, in the wintertime, there is less humidity in the air. So the sun can be very strong in the wintertime, and it's that sunlight which is really what we need. And that's the energy that's powering up the solar cooker. But thank you for your question. Thank you very much.
My apologies that I joined a little late. So I'm sure that you would have answered it, but what's the economic side of this solar cooker? How expensive is it?
Sure. So we are not a manufacturer, so we don't sell solar cookers, but we do have what we refer to as the Solar Cooking Wiki, or Wikipedia of solar cooking. It's an information database where there's links to manufacturers. And there are a number of different designs or types, so there's a pretty good range of price point as far as the actual product. The most basic models, actually maybe I'll go back a few slides to show you a little bit about the different types of solar cookers. So on the left, a reflective panel cooker is a very basic model. It's just a cardboard cut out into a particular shape with a reflective aluminum foil. And this one can be made locally for as little as maybe $20 to $30 somewhere around there. However, this probably would have a shorter lifespan because it's cardboard. But I know, Rosemary, you said you've used one of these reflective panel cookers for several years if you take good care of it. It folds up and you can put it away. So that's at the very low end, and even as low as nothing. If you have some materials, you can make it yourself at home. The middle one, the box oven, is a little bit more durable. And so that's the model that we are using at the Kakuma refugee camp. That was selected because of the wind and sand that will blow through once in a while, so the families were looking for something that was more able to withstand those conditions. And for that particular model, it depends. There's a little bit of a range as well. But in Kenya, for example, it's not commercially available, or at least the manufacturer that we're working with, it's not commercially available, but the estimate would be around 200 US dollars, somewhere around there, maybe 250. So the affordability issue is still something that we're trying to work on. But for us, what we're looking at, and we're really excited to kind of unpack a little bit more going forward, is some of the data that we've been seeing that says families are saving money by using a solar cooking device. So if people are spending about $20 per month before getting a box oven at Kakuma, after using the box oven for several months, we're finding that families are saving between $5 and even $7 US per month. So if you have a way, like Rosemary was saying, a loan program where we can provide the box oven on a loan and they can start using the device and getting those savings on a monthly basis. That $7 could be $4 to repay the loan, $3 for your pocket. So you're still getting economic benefit every month and also paying back the loan. So there's a business model there that can be sustainable. Right now we're working on a small scale, but we're excited to continue talking with Rosemary and others in Kenya and other places around the world where we can try to use this model or idea and see if we can make it sustainable and look to scale solar cooking to address this lack of access to clean cooking in many places. Are there any other questions from anyone else in the audience? I think, I guess, Rosemary, turning back to you now for a moment, I know you mentioned that there are sometimes some surprise faces, right? So one of the things that we were talking about is how important it is for people to see it work and to even taste it with their own senses, right? For you to see and feel. Can you share a little bit more about some experiences you've had when you see some of the people you're working with and they try solar cooked food for the first time?
Thank you so much, Kate. Just as I said, yesterday we had a demonstration, and the women were out there, and they had a variety of foods because they wanted to display the hard foods, the soft foods, and the varieties. And they had a variety of other energy-saving devices that go along with the solar cooker. So we said that when you're using the solar cooker, then you can use the fireless basket to continue your cooking. So some people are getting surprised. How do we cook without firewood? Then how do we cook without fire in a fireless cooker? So the experience is usually very amazing for the people who are seeing it for the first time. And especially when you taste that food, actually, I can confirm, and I'm sure without fear of contradiction, that food cooked from solar is more natural because issues of smoke smelling in the food are not there. Issues of overcooking are not there. You're not worried your food is going to get burnt and all that kind of thing. But actually, the reception usually is a very anxious, and you get so much interested in what happens next. So the next question that comes out of the people who are doing this is, where can I get this? So that's a challenge that we now start facing because the demand starts growing so fast. And if you do not have the resources to provide the cookers again, you bring the momentum down. So our duty is to try and keep the momentum going. So how are we keeping the momentum going? We have trained our trainers on how to train communities to make local reflector panels because you can get box available, we can get aluminum foil. So you just need to make the shape so long as you have the concept on how it works. The concept is very simple. Get a portion of the box that can reflect the sun, and then the other portion reflects it onto the black pan that you're using to cook. So we can easily get boxes, design it, and our women are able to make the boxes. Then teach them on how to make the fireless cookers. Fireless cookers are just simple baskets lined with maybe old clothing or cotton waste or blanket waste. Then they retain the heat, so you start your cooking in the solar panel. When you finish your cooking in the fireless cooker. The fireless cooker keeps food warm for over 8 hours, meaning that my family is able to take healthy food because cold food is not good for us. My family is able to keep food for the family even if they are in the farm. Then in the process, we are reducing gender-based violence because when my husband comes home and gets good food and I'm even not there, he's able to get his food, feed the children are able to eat, then I'm reducing gender-based violence. And then finally, I'm encouraging economic empowerment because once the trainers know how to train, then they will go out to train. They will receive a small stipend for their families. Then when I'm saving money for them going to buy charcoal, it means there's some income being saved in the family. So it's a lot of excitement, Keith, as I can say, and there's need for us to engage even further on how best we can start these models of maybe simple village savings and loanings for our societies where women can get a small revolving loan to buy a solar cooker, and after using the solar cooker, the money you save on buying charcoal, the money you save on going to buy vegetables in the market can be used to repay your solar cooker. Then finally, I'm saying that as we do the solar cooking, we are not doing it on a standalone. You must have other things to complement it. One of the things of complementation is kitchen gardening. So you grow your vegetables at home, you get your solar cooker. So money saved on buying vegetables, money saved on buying firewood can be used to repay back your loan for your solar cooker. So there's need for further engagements so that we see how best we can come up with a model where we can look for funding to be able to give our women simple revolving loans to be able to buy the solar cookers. But there's a lot of excitement on the ground, and we are continuing to promote this.
Right, great. Thanks, Rosemary, for providing the real impact, the examples that you've seen firsthand. Yeah, we're looking to build on that momentum. We've seen that momentum. We're hearing about that momentum from you, and we're seeing that momentum here at COP29 as well. We've had quite a number of really great conversations with folks from many countries around the world where access to clean cooking is still a significant issue, and we're really excited to have continue these conversations going forward to see how we can scale solar cooking in places and make it more accessible, more available, and part of the energy transition to clean cooking technology. So for those of you that were here today with us, we want to say thank you to everyone for joining us, for being a part of this session. Thank you again to UN OCHA for hosting the Humanitarian Hub here at COP29. Thank you to my co-panelists, Alan Bigelow and Rosemary Atieno, for all of your comments and remarks. It's been really wonderful conversation. And for those of you online out there watching, please do check out our website at solarcookersinternational.com for more information, or .org, sorry, solarcookersinternational.org for more information. And feel free to sign up for more information, and we look forward to continuing the conversation about how solar cooking can be part of access to clean cooking moving forward. Thanks.
Thank you.